Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, implement, optimize, document processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Dominique Waples-Trefil. Hi, Dominique.
Hello.
It's so good to have you on this podcast. We're going to have a great conversation.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. And we have to give a big shout out to our mutual friend, Marina, from the Brand of a Leader.
Absolutely.
And she is amazing. I've done a podcast with her. She has been on, I was on her podcast. She was on mine. And I'm going to include those episodes in the show notes so people can listen to it. And she does a fabulous job. She is so talented. And thank you so much, Marina, for introducing us. So with that, okay, Dominique, now I'm going to introduce you and give you the stage. So You are the CEO and founder of Restor Medical Spa, a multi-location medical spa located in Colorado.
Yes, I am.
That's amazing. And you have a great story to tell about that. You started with your sister, right? You co-founded it with her.
I did.
It's a family affair here, like a family business. And
yes.
And you grew it, and I would assume you're still best friends, right?
Oh, yeah. And sisters also.
And sisters,
still,
yeah,
forever,
exactly.
right?
Forever, yeah.
Yes, we are.
Cool. So walk us through the story. How did it all start?
Gosh, there's so many things. First of all, my sister and I have been best friends and, business partners since we were, in the sandbox at 5 and 7, right? So kind of our whole lives. But we just have a really unique and special ability to work together and to have a really similar vision. And once we get a hold of something, just, watch out. So even when we were in college, we just always, we went to separate schools across the country, but we always sort of knew that we would end up working together at some point. After medical school, she came out to Colorado. I was already here. I was a practicing attorney at that point, and this, on one hand, it's so silly, on one hand, it was so spur of the moment and seems unplanned, we got Botox when we were in our early 30s. And I'm telling you, I got Botox, first nothing happens, right? 7 days later, wrinkles disappear. It's like this transformation just comes upon you, right? And I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going to leave my job and go start a medical spa. Like, you want to come? and next thing you know, the two of us, doctor and lawyer, here we are, just off on our own, starting the venture of a small business together. And 14 years later, we've never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is quite a story. And so you started, the two of you. Did you hire staff? What happened at the beginning?
Yeah, at the very beginning, we overhired because we had no idea what we were doing. And, as every new founder, we were wildly optimistic and assumed it was just going to be, people knocking down the door, which of course did not happen. We hired a nurse, we hired a esthetician, we hired some front desk people, and then rather sadly had to part ways with most of that team within the first couple of months because reality sets in, right? It was a lot of learning the hard way.
Yeah. So when you were practicing as a lawyer, did you work for somebody else or did you have your own business?
Oh, I was a trial attorney. I was a deputy district attorney for the city and county of Denver, state of Colorado. All right. I mean, it technically it's not a firm, but when I was there, I was one of like 60 attorneys or something and twice as many support staff. So it was a large organization.
So it was completely different. It was completely different.
Completely.
And you
Couldn't
already
have
told
been.
us what the first mistake was. I mean, I don't think it was a mistake, just the first attempt is, okay, let's hire all the staff, which is nothing wrong with it, right? Because you do need to have the staff, but you obviously need to have enough marketing in order to justify the amount of staff that you need.
I didn't even know what the word marketing meant. It was a dirty word. I didn't even know what it was. I mean, it was, I'm telling you, we had no idea what we were doing. Dr. Waples came from, the hospital, right? She was an emergency medicine physician. You want to talk about another large organization where the rules are the rules. You know what I mean? We were not set up for this. So yeah.
Good. So then 2 months went by and reality set in, and then what?
Well, I always say, the first 6 months of a startup is really fun because you're just like everything's new. And then the next 6 months, it starts to get less fun because it's harder than you thought. And then at about a year, you decide if you're actually going to figure it out and stick it out or not.
That's what I wanted to ask you. If like at any point did you decide, okay, that's it, I'm not doing it. It was the biggest mistake of my life.
I mean, so in addition to starting a business with no knowledge of business, which is, I mean, I guess everyone does that. It's not that big a deal, right? I also had my first child the month we opened.
Oh.
So yeah. Um, I don't, people sometimes ask me like, is it harder for women? And I'm like, I don't think it's not harder for women per se, but there are certain things that any person can stack in their life that are more difficult if you try to do them at once.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I completely agree. Doing things, it can be overwhelming if you have a kid and starting the business at the same month, and probably everything else that could be added to it. It just can
Yeah.
overwhelm people for sure. But you persisted.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I would recommend doing that. I mean, to other people if they're thinking about it, I was not sleeping. My daughter, I would bring her with me to Restore, which was wonderful that I had that option, but it was quite challenging. I mean, I think every entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs, if they're honest with you, will admit that there was a point where they had maxed out everything, like couldn't pay for anything, had to confront the possibility that maybe financially they just couldn't do it, right? And then had to figure it out. And I was no different. I mean, I knew nothing about finance. I knew nothing about accounting. I literally could not figure out why every month the profit and loss would have a negative number down there at the bottom, right? I literally didn't understand enough to understand what the difference was between gross margin
Yeah.
and net profit. Like I knew nothing. And so I mean, I did decide to stick it out, and we did persevere through those first couple of years, and it was really tough. um but
So what was the turning point? What was the turning point?
Well, I learned accrual accounting. That was
Good.
very helpful, right? It's like, oh, maybe, some of these services, like we have underpriced them significantly, right? Oh, marketing isn't a dirty word. I mean, there were all of these things. I think the moment for me, which was a really, I had to decide whether I was going to, do this or not. I very specifically remember it. Um, like every entrepreneur, I was working all the time, day in and day out, and um, I was sitting at like the kitchen table at like 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, whatever it was after work, right? All of these things. And I got an email um, from our payroll company um, that said payroll hadn't cleared. Yeah. And because there wasn't enough money in the bank account to cover it. Yeah. And at that moment, I mean, I had to decide, right? Like either I am gonna really learn a lot about marketing and sales, um, and just give it everything I've got, or like I've got 6 months before I need to really consider trial work again.
So that was a turning point.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And obviously you made the right decision because now it's completely different.
Oh my gosh. So different. So
So that
fantastic.
was what, like 2 years into the business or 3 years?
I would that with that point was pretty soon into it actually. I'd say that was at about somewhere between a year and a half. I mean, it was, it's like the games are over. Fun time is over. It was the you've got to figure this out now time.
Good. So how did you figure it out? Like, okay, so
Mhm.
you realize, okay, I need to market, I need to do something different. What
Yeah.
did you do?
I mean, well, we started a variety of different things. I dug into the idea of referral marketing. I started looking at a bunch of different options in terms of pricing, ultimately we found like the idea of membership was something that really crossed over exceptionally well from anything that's not once and done, right?
Hmm?
Into aesthetics. So I actually I got on a plane. I found some I basically I started, I mean, we didn't have ChatGPT at that point, but we certainly had Google.
That's right.
And so I just started researching, med spas that had membership programs, and there weren't very many actually at the time. Like I had to hunt for them. And I was flying, like I would make up, I would take the earliest flight out and get the last flight back. And I was going out and I was secret shopping some of these places to try to figure out like how were they doing it. And
Wow.
I came back with some ideas, and I you know, implemented them. We gave them a shot, and oh my gosh, like they're night and day different from what we started with. And I think back to what we started with, I just can't even, so embarrassing, But ultimately, that became the kind of the, I mean, membership is a model which really truly changes a business. And I
Right,
didn't,
because now you have a business, you don't have it like every single day. You have to recreate it and get new customers, especially when it's a spa or any such business, because the business can end at the end of the day because if you don't have recurring revenue, you don't have the people coming back.
Mhm. Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, we it solved so many problems that we weren't going discount to discount. It wasn't that our customers were waiting for that once a month email to come out that said Botox, $10 a unit, this week only, right? Like, because they all
Right,
knew, oh, next month there'll be another one, right?
right.
And it just really helped us focus on our best customers instead of flailing around for any customer. And yeah.
So basically what I'm hearing is that you figure out who your best customers are, like what's the profile, what's the avatar of your next best customers, market to those, and then offer them the membership. So it's a
Actually, you
recurring
know what?
revenue.
Interestingly, I would say opposite.
Really?
We offered membership to
Hmm.
every customer, and they told us who they were, right?
Yeah.
They told us whether they valued us a lot and whether they wanted to partner with us in the future with all of their skincare goals, right? And the way they did that is by signing up for that membership. And then we were able to give our very best to those people. Um, and it solved cash flow problems. I mean, everything you can imagine. It solved the discounting problems. It solved just problem after problem, you know.
Yeah. So do you
And
now sign up every new client for memberships, or do you membership, or they can come and try it for one time only? I mean, how does it work?
people can absolutely, anyone, we do not have a members only business model. Anyone
Yeah.
can come in. However, membership is so valuable and such a high percentage of our business is referral that I mean, almost like about 90% of our clients are members. Um, and that's just what, that's just what happens.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense because we really do so much. We retain them. We just want to keep them. We just love them so much, you know?
Right.
So they also stay with us for a really long time.
Well, it's
So,
that care, it's that feeling of a group or family, like, that
yeah.
connection, right? That
Yeah.
creates that movement. I mean, it is contagious. It's like, oh, wow, I want to be part of that movement or part of that group.
Yeah, and you've got, you feel taken care of. And I think that that's such a huge piece of this. And we started with aesthetics, and in the last several years, we have really leaned into wellness. And that is just another huge piece of this. We haven't really talked about this, yet, but making aging optional for me is really, and that's what we're doing. Restore
Mhm.
Medical Spa. We're making aging optional through medical aesthetics and wellness, right? And um, it is I mean, almost all of our clients are women. And being able to do this for women is special for me. Um, I believe in my heart that any woman can compete against any man if she has got the energy. If she slept last night, you know. And she isn't exhausted today and she's not anxious today. Like all the things that happen with perimenopause are real and they just will screw with your life. And being able to give giving people their life back is it's powerful and it's something that, we can do it. That's what we do for people. And,
Right.
and transforming lives and especially the lives of women, not, from the inside out and the outside in is what it means to be part of this industry. And so, yeah, that care of a person, a whole person, um, I, that's what our members feel.
So it's really caring about your clients, your customers. That's what you are basically, the message you're giving out is that know who they are and care about them.
Yeah.
Right. That makes total sense. Now you open multiple locations. So at what point
Mhm.
did you decide, okay, we're now going to branch out and we're gonna have multiple locations?
Oh gosh. Well, I always intended to do something bigger than one location. That was just, I don't know. I want to grow and I want to do things as big as I can do them, and but it took quite a while until we were ready because just financially it didn't make sense, for the first, well, it didn't make sense financially, but also I had two kids and my sister had two kids, right? So my partner, right? So I had a child the month that we opened. She had a child almost exactly 1 year after we opened. I had a child 2 years after we opened, and then she had it was just back to back every year, right? And it's really hard to catch a breath and get your feet underneath you when you're doing that. So it would have happened faster if our children had already been in school or something like that. But that's not the life we chose. So it took a little while longer. But yes, we actually this was great. We opened our second location on January 6th of 2021, which if you are familiar with the
Yeah.
date, yes, right in the middle of COVID, no vaccine yet, and the Capitol was having some problems on that day, right? So it was it was an interesting time. Um, and again, it was just there were challenges associated with that, right? Like we were masked up. People were in our existing location, our all of our existing clients loved us and were coming back in and wanted to be there, but new people were much more hesitant. It was a time when there was so much uncertainty about
Mhm.
everything in life, and so that was challenging in and of itself. Luckily, our our model grew substantially. Our second location was, it caught up to our first location. I guess it took 2 years, and it was where the other one had taken 10 years to get to. It's kind of amazing,
Well, you
right?
already knew what you were doing, so and you probably did not have aversion to marketing, and you already
Right. It didn't have an
working,
aversion to marketing. That really helped.
and you had a working model, and there was already like that buzz and that talk. Where's the second
Yeah.
location?
It's also, they're both in Denver. So one is in Central Park, and then the second is in the Lowhigh neighborhood. And then last maybe a year and a half ago, we opened Boulder, our Boulder location. So that was a little further afield, not in Denver, but still a very similar place. And that was fantastic. And in October, we're opening our fourth. And hopefully in January, we are opening our fifth. So at this
Fantastic.
point, it's a flywheel, you
Yeah,
know, um,
absolutely.
yeah, and a little bit
Absolutely.
of rinse and repeat. So,
That's incredible.
mhm,
Now, rinse and repeat. Okay, so we are all about systems and processes and documentation and implementation.
mhm,
And we work with companies that are opening locations of the locations, and also it's like the franchise model, right? Even if you're not a franchise.
mhm. Yes,
In
right.
your opinion, what's the importance of having well-documented processes in place in order for the success of the business?
W- What's the important? Well, I, I, you must have them, right? You must have them.
You do.
I don't think you probably don't get past three without that, right? Because you can kind of be in three places. You can kind of do a couple days in each place, and you can run yourself ragged and just be there and do it, I guess. But
Yeah, no, that's
I
very
say
true.
that that's a
That's
breaking
very
point,
true.
right?
Because it's kind of like, I know it's a question of like, what? But of course, but you would have entrepreneurs that would think, well, just like when you had the aversion to marketing, or what is accrual accounting? Like, I can just wing it, I can just do it, I can just get it done. However, it's like whatever way it happens, it happens. But
Yeah.
when you want to grow, when you want to scale, when you go from multiple locations, you gotta standardize things.
Yeah, when we were just opening our third, I had some things quite standardized, and they were the things that I used to, or not I, but we were using to run the business on an ongoing basis, like an established location, right? But I didn't have a launch process, you know? And boy, that just about killed me. It was I have this one memory of, sitting, I was doing a meeting in between, like waiting for deliveries for things, right? Because who knows when they were showing up, because who knows when they were ordered, because of course there wasn't a plan for when these things should be ordered, all the everything, right? It was kind of a mess. And I was on the phone with a consultant, and we use Culture Index. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's a personality assessment. And basically I had just gotten to I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this without a team. I can't do this without specific processes. I just can't do this anymore. And the first person, like the first hire was like, okay, we need a director of operations, right? And I'm on the phone with this consultant trying to figure out, it's like the hiring process, right? It's the hiring process for a team, not just your gut, not just your, whatever it is, right? But a real process around how we hire and onboard people and get them into the system, and like people that do things that I've never done before. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a concept. So, and I'm on the phone with him, and somebody shows up with a delivery, and I'm like, hold on, I just got to make sure that they get this piece of furniture. And I get back on the phone, and he's like, Dominique, he's like, this is ridiculous. Like, this person should have been in here, months ago. You cannot be the one waiting for furniture deliveries. Like, this is unsustainable. And I was like, yes, it is unsustainable. Thank you. You know?
That is so
Um,
true.
and and so for I would say the last year and a half, it's been wonderful getting the right people in here. But then, we hired a director of operations he was from the restaurant and hospitality space, and he had been a very large franchise group and came in with just like, okay, first things first, what's the process? Oh, there isn't a process? Great. Well, there's going to be a process by next week, right? Like, yeah. And he really tightened things up for us because, ooh, and now we're, the launch process is in place for number 4. And I'll tell you what, here I am. Look at us. We're having this conversation. I'm not waiting for furniture delivery.
Well done.
I mean, amazing, right? Like, here it is. There's a
That's
calendar.
That's right. That's the power of processes. You got it. I mean, it's a great example, the power of systems and processes. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, you need to have marketing and sales. You have to have everything, right? But once the business is growing and scaling, you absolutely need to systematize it so it will get to the next level and the next level and the next level.
Mhm. Yes,
Cool.
100%. 100%.
Good. Well, Dominique, if people want to find out more about you, your business, they want to reach out, they want to find out how they can get a hold of you, and they live in Colorado, they want to come and visit you, how can they do that?
Well, I think I am most easily found on LinkedIn, just Dominique Waples-Trefil. Yeah, I think I am the only Dominique Waples-Trefil, so that should be pretty easy. That's WAP as in Paul, LES hyphen Trefil, TREFIL. Also, if you live in Colorado, please come visit us at Restor Medical Spa. And you can find us at restormedicalspa.com, and that's RESTOR. There's no E on the end of Restor, medicalspa.com. So we'd love to see you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. It was a great conversation.
Yes, it was. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.